Hey everyone, welcome to my podcast, or welcome back if you've been here before. Pretty happy to have you here. Each week you can join me here as I review the topic of the week from my weekly collaboration at Delish. And each week we have a different topic that touches on many aspects of our lives, and I feel it'll touch anybody, no matter what their venture is in life, if they're self-employed, entrepreneur, working in a corporation, etc. I think there's just a little bit for everyone. So I'd like to dive right in. Let's get to this week's topic of the week. So this week we were talking about vision boards and visualizations. This is something that I definitely did not believe in once upon a time. It was something that I just thought was a little bit too woo-woo, a little bit too out there. Anybody who knows me probably has figured out that I'm definitely a scientific mind. Things are square and tangible and uh, just explainable. So for me to have stepped over into believing in visualization and vision board probably would be surprising for some people at one point, because it was surprising to me actually. But it's been something that's been proven to me over time, and initially almost by accident. It was proven to me. So Crystal and I have done vision boards for a long time, mostly because Crystal has done vision boards and I've been along on the journey, again because I wasn't a big believer. But we had done kind of a secret book. I don't know if anybody remembers The Secret, but we completed kind of a journal of things that we wanted to manifest. And in there were several things. And we kind of did it, and I forgot about it. Crystal probably didn't, but I did. And we found that book when we moved into our house here. We moved in about 6 or 7 years ago. And of course, when you're moving, you relocate things that you haven't seen in a long time. And we're going through the book. And one of the things that was in there was that we wanted a pool. And interestingly enough, we had at that point finished our home that had our second pool, because we had a pool when we were in Texas, and we had a pool, had just built a pool in our house that we live in now. So yeah, totally manifested that. Did not did not see that coming, because back when we made that book, a pool was crazy talk. Like, for us to have a pool was like we won the lottery. That was not something in our future. And here we were with having our second home with a pool. So at that point, I started to kind of believe that, okay, maybe if you, set your mind to things and visualize and have a vision board or whatnot, these things can come true. So from then on, we started to do vision boards a little bit more, and I was a little bit more on side. Another example I have from recent life is back late last year, I was asked to be a panel member at EXPCon in Vancouver. I was super excited about it, a bit terrified, honestly, just because I was going to be standing on stage in front of a lot of my peers, and had only been with EXP for less than a year at that point. So it was a bit scary. So on my vision board, I had put that I was going to have this success at EXPCon Vancouver. And what I did is I would actually visualize what it was like to be on stage and just kind of experience what that was going to be like. So then when I got to XPCon Vancouver and it was time for me to be on stage, it was just the coolest thing because I was super calm. I was not having the butterflies or that anxiety or having to pee 1,000 times before you go on because of fear. I was just in the moment, totally excited for it. And what was really cool for me is that I was on stage with four other men, the moderator and three other panelists, and they were all men. And they were all like over the top, maybe excited, terrified, fearful. I don't know, but they were not calm. One was like literally bouncing up and down in the corner. Another was telling a lot of distasteful jokes. Um, One was just sweating profusely, and one was super, super chatty. So yeah, I was like the calmest one there. And it was just the coolest experience. So I definitely am a believer in having the opportunity to visualize those things. It's something to take advantage of, I guess, because it definitely made that a more enjoyable experience than it certainly could have been. Not to say that it wasn't an enjoyable experience for the others that were there. I'm sure it was fantastic. But because I was calm, I was totally in the moment and didn't have to get lost in all of my emotions. So that was cool. So this week, when we were talking about this, I had found this article that kind of explained the different types of visualization techniques that you can apply. And the one that I used in that example is called rehearsal. So basically, you're rehearsing what it's going to look like, kind of a practice run, so to speak. So I definitely will be pulling on that rehearsal technique going forward for sure, because it was totally worthwhile. And I totally recommend it. One of the more common ones, techniques that I think people use is motivation. So if you're trying to reach a goal, you will pull on your vision board and visualizations to motivate you to try and accomplish that goal. So, say you have your vision board and you want to achieve purchasing a new car, or maybe you want to write a book, or whatever your goal is. You'll look to your vision board and you'll look to visualizations to motivate you to achieve those goals. So, to inspire you to take action and make those things happen. And then there's confidence. That's another technique. So a way to instill confidence in you into achieving something. So this would be something, I think, if you're trying to um, excel at something that you don't have confidence in, like say you've become a new agent and you just don't feel confident in what you're doing, you would use visualization to try and do that. And it could even be a combination of the confidence and rehearsal. So you could be envisioning what it was like to work with clients, or to write out deals, or um, do advertising, whatever it is that you're struggling with that you need confidence in. Visualize what that looks like in achieving it, and you'll just gain the confidence that you need. And then anxiety reduction is another one. So if you are looking to, reduce that stress or the anxiety, you can use a technique of visualizing what it's like to be in a calm state, or how to get yourself to that, and then call on that when you're needing to reduce that stress, or take yourself out of an anxiety situation. Another article that I was looking at also had kind of 5 steps in visualizing. So if you're just starting and you're not really sure how this works and how to get started, I found this one kind of interesting, because the first one talks about, in the 5 steps, talks about writing in detail, and engaging all five senses. So if you're thinking about visualizing something, if you were to write out what it would look like, and smell and feel and taste and all of those senses, it'll be easier for you to visualize it. The example I used is that my family and I are wanting to go on a trip over to Europe in 2026. So that's a part of my vision board. And I visualize what it would be like to be at the different places that we want to go. So if I wanted, and I may actually do this, is I could write out, what it looks like, and the expression on our daughter's face when she gets to see the things that she's hoping to see, and the what it feels like when you're there, what the weather's like, and what it sounds like, and write all of those things out, so that when I close my eyes to try and visualize it, it's easier to do so because I've written them out. And you can even go so far as doing them on note cards or like recipe cards. so that you can keep those cards with you for when you're doing your visualization. So say you're going to do it in the morning or you're going to do it in the evening. You could just take those cards out and read through them and then close your eyes and try and envision what that feels like. Another is imagine the emotion attached to the outcome. So when you achieve the goal or the thing that you're trying to attain, what does that emotion feel like? How do you feel when you've achieved that? And if you can feel it like you've accomplished that goal, it just becomes, you believe it's more attainable, and you believe that it's it almost becomes tangible, right? Like I was saying in the beginning, that I have a struggle with things that aren't scientific and tangible and real. That is part of it, is that you can just make it go, oh, well, that's actually what it feels like, so it must be attainable, right? So it just makes it a little bit more attainable. Step 3 is take action every day towards it. So it's not magic. Like you can't just close your eyes and go, hey, there it is, and then sit on the couch and it just appears. You need to do the work too. So take action means, so for example, the Europe trip, I need to do the research into what does that trip look like? What are the things that we're going to do? How are we going to get there? We want to take a train ride. What does that look like? So then if I take actions in discovering how it's going to work, one, I can visualize what it's going to look like a lot easier because I've aligned a lot of those things into place. And two, I've actually aligned those things into place so that when it's time to make it happen, I know how to make it happen. And then that actually kind of goes into the expand your knowledge too. That's the number 4, is expand your knowledge, is do the research in trying to attain your goals. So like I said, I'll be researching the train and each of the excursions that we want to do and the different places and where we're going to stay. And so expanding my knowledge so that when I do that visualization, it's easier to do. This can apply to other things too, though. Like say you want to write a book. So, you need to expand your knowledge in what does that look like. Talk to an expert, talk to somebody who's done it, read some blogs about it. There's lots of podcasts about how to write a book. Expand that knowledge so that when you're visualizing the action of writing a book, you can be like, okay, this is what it should look and feel like because this is what I've read about or heard about or talked about. And then take time to consider your visualization. So basically this is you need to do it. You need to set the time aside and actually take 5 minutes or whatever time it is that you have to do your visualizing. So I do mine in the morning. It does not take very long. You close your eyes and you try and visualize those things, or you review your note cards to help get you to that state. Some people do it up to 2 times a day. So they'll do it first thing in the morning and then in the evening. It's entirely up to you, but obviously doing it is better than not doing it. One of the things that a couple of people at the coffee said is that, because of course I asked who does visualizing and who has vision boards, and about half said that they did and half didn't. But as we started to talk about it, some of them are like, well, actually, I guess I kind of do it. I just didn't realize I did it. One talked about how she does it in the shower. When she's showering, she's thinking about all of the things that a visualization would be. So for her at the time that she was referring to was when she was at university and needing to write a paper, she would be visualizing what that looked like, thinking through, what words would go to paper, basically. And another one said that when they were building their house, she basically visualized it because she worked through what it was going to look like, created a bit of a visualization of it, and ultimately manifested it because that's the house that they live in today. Another thing is, like, if you ever find yourself daydreaming, that's visualizing. Because often when you're daydreaming, you're dreaming of something that you want to do or accomplish or succeed at, or whatever. But that's visualizing, and that's really all that you're trying to accomplish is that daydream. So it's pretty cool. I just have a few techniques that I want to talk about and that we talked about at the coffee. Create a vision board. So this is really helpful for a lot of people because you can visually return to what it is that you're trying to achieve quick and easy in a simple glance. So if you create a vision board, you're going to put on there the items that remind you of the things that you want to achieve. So currently I have my Europe trip is on my vision board, so that when I want to visualize that, I can quickly and easily close my eyes and see what that's going to look like and kind of go down that path. And it's easy to do at a glance. You can put anything on a vision board. It can be words, pictures, really anything that's going to help you start down creating that visualization. You can do guided visualization meditation. So this is really key if you're struggling getting that imagery in. If you take the guided visualizations, you'll be able to close your eyes and have someone kind of walk you through it, which is really helpful. You can find lots on YouTube, Spotify. There's lots of guided meditations. Another one is the index cards that I talked about. So just take the index cards, write down what it is that you want to visualize, and then, like I said earlier, you're going to write out what it looks like, feels like, smells like, tastes like, all of those things, so that you can close your eyes and quickly visualize what that is. Picture and describe. So this is another kind of technique. So you will have a strong picture visual, and then you're going to describe it. So let's say you want to, one of your goals is to own a horse. It's a really good goal. So you would have a picture that you would be looking at, or you would picture in your head, but then you would describe it. So like, what does it feel like? So you can feel the warmth of the horse. And then what does it smell like? And you'll have that like dusty, dandery smell of a horse. What does it sound like? That the breathing in and in the out, and maybe what does it feel like to be riding it or to be petting it or whatever it might be. You would just get very detailed about it, and then utilize exposure. So exposing yourself to making your goals happen. So say one of your goals is to go ziplining. Say that's something that you want to achieve. You need to understand what that means. So you maybe need to watch some videos on what ziplining looks like, so that you can understand how to visualize making that happen. And then ultimately, we just talked a little bit more about how each of us can kind of have these things in our lives as practices, and how it's so interesting when things do actually happen. And I'm super excited to hear from anybody who's, done visualizations or had vision boards and had things actually come true, because it's pretty cool when it happens. And it's especially cool when it happens unexpectedly or better than you expect, like my story with the EXPCon. That was a shocker for me. It may seem simple, but I was there. It felt pretty amazing. So yeah. So if anybody has anything to share, I would love to hear your experiences. And until next time. Well, that concludes our episode this week with our topic of the week. Thanks so much for being here. It really does mean a lot to me. If you haven't already, please subscribe or hit that follow button, as I'd love if you come back week to week. If you want to find more about me, you can find me on Instagram at RhondaLavoie_tough, on my website at theurbanfarmhousesaskatoon.com, and on Facebook at The Urban Farmhouse Saskatoon. Reach out anytime. I'd love to hear from you. And if you get a chance, leave a comment on this post. I really hope you have a marvelous day, and I can't wait to bring you an episode again next week. Take care.